Rolihlahla Mandela was born into the Madiba clan in the village of Mbizo, in the Eastern Cape, on July 18, 1918. His mother was Nonkofi Nosekeni and his father was Nkosi Mfakaniiswa Gadla Mandela, principal counselor to the acting king of the Thembu people, John Ntaba Dalindibo. In 1930, when he was 12 years old, his father died and the young Rolihlahla became a ward of John Ntaba at the Great Place in Kekazwini 1. Hearing the elders' stories of his ancestors' valor during the wars of resistance, he dreamed also of making his own contribution to the freedom struggle of his people. Video overlay Mandela. He attended primary school in Kunu where his teacher, Miss Mdingane, gave him the name Nelson, in accordance with the custom of giving all school children Christian names. He completed his junior certificate at Clarkberry Boarding Institute and went on to Healdtown, a Wesleyan secondary school of some repute, where he matriculated. Mandela began his studies for a Bachelor of Arts degree at the University College of Fort Hare but did not complete the degree there as he was expelled for joining a student protest. They ran away to Johannesburg instead, arriving there in 1941. There he worked as a mine security officer and after meeting Walter Sisulu, an estate agent, he was introduced to Lazar Seidelsky. He then did his articles through a firm of attorneys, Witkin, Eidelman and Seidelsky. He completed his BA through the University of South Africa and went back to Fort Hare for his graduation in 1943. Meanwhile, he began studying for an LLB at the University of the Witwatersrand. By his own admission he was a poor student and left the university in 1952 without graduating. He only started studying again through the University of London after his imprisonment in 1962 but also did not complete that degree. In 1989, while in the last months of his imprisonment, he obtained an LLB through the University of South Africa. He graduated in absentia at a ceremony in Cape Town. Entering politics, Mandela, while increasingly politically involved from 1942, only joined the African National Congress in 1944 when he helped to form the ANC Youth League, ANCYL. In 1944 he married Walter Sisulu's cousin, Evelyn Mays, a nurse. They had two sons, Madiba Thembekile, Thembai, and Makatho, and two daughters both called Makaziwe, the first of whom died in infancy. He and his wife divorced in 1958. Mandela rose through the ranks of the ANCYL and through its efforts, the ANC adopted a more radical mass-based policy, the Programme of Action, in 1949. In 1952 he was chosen as the National Volunteer-in-Chief of the Defiance Campaign with Maulvi Kakalia as his deputy. This campaign of civil disobedience against 6 unjust laws was a joint program between the ANC and the South African Indian Congress. He and 19 others were charged under the Suppression of Communism Act for their part in the campaign and sentenced to 9 months of hard labor, suspended for 2 years. A 2-year diploma in law on top of his BA allowed Mandela to practice law, and in August 1952 he and Oliver Tambo established South Africa's first black-owned law firm in the 1950s, Mandela Tambo Point 2. At the end of 1952 he was banned for the first time. As a restricted person he was only permitted to watch in secret as the Freedom Charter was adopted in Kliptown on June 26, 1955. Days before the end of the treason trial, Mandela traveled to Pietermaritzburg to speak at the All in Africa Conference, which resolved that he should write to Prime Minister Verwoerd requesting a national convention on a non-racial constitution, and to warn that should he not agree there would be a national strike against South Africa becoming a republic. After he and his colleagues were acquitted in the treason trial, Mandela went underground and began planning a national strike for 29, the 30th and the 31st of March. In the face of massive mobilization of state security, the strike was called off early. In June 1961 he was asked to lead the armed struggle and help to establish Umkhonto we Sizwe, Spear of the Nation, which launched on December 16, 1961 with a series of explosions. On January 11, 1962, using the adopted name David Motsamai, Mandela secretly left South Africa. He traveled around Africa and visited England to gain support for the armed struggle. He received military training in Morocco and Ethiopia and returned to South Africa in July 1962. He was arrested in a police roadblock outside Howick on August 5 while returning from KwaZulu-Natal, where he had briefed ANC President-Chief Albert Luthuli about his trip. He was charged with leaving the country without a permit and inciting workers to strike. He was convicted and sentenced to 5 years imprisonment, which he began serving at the Pretoria local prison. On May 27, 1963, he was transferred to Robben Island and returned to Pretoria on June 12. Within a month, police raided Lily's Leaf, a secret hideout in Rivonia, Johannesburg, used by ANC and Communist Party activists, and several of his comrades were arrested. On October 9, 1963, Mandela joined 10 others on trial for sabotage in what became known as the Rivonia trial. While facing the death penalty, his words to the court at the end of his famous speech from the dock, on April 20, 1964 became immortalized. On June 11, 1964, Mandela and 7 other accused, Walter Sisulu, Ahmed Kathrada, Govan Beki, Raymond Mwaba, Dennis Goldberg, Elias Motsoaledi and Andrew Mlangeni, were convicted and the next day were sentenced to life imprisonment. Goldberg was sent to Pretoria prison because he was white, while the others went to Robben Island. I have fought against white domination, and I have fought against black domination. I have cherished the ideal of a democratic and free society in which all persons live together in harmony and with equal opportunities. It is an ideal that I hope to live for and to achieve. But if needs be, it is an ideal for which I am prepared to die.